let's face it, most people here are pretty upset and pretty sad because of the election. But there's another group very excited about the legalization of pot. And as much, and I know there are a number of Hillary supporters here.
Can I move to Canada? So I believe we need to do better. We need to be tolerant, inclusive.
And with that, Sundar.
Thanks, Sergey. It's good to see all of you here. I'm glad we're getting together at a moment like this. It's been an extraordinarily stressful time, I'm sure, for many of you. A couple things I would say. I grew up in India, and there were a lot of things wrong. I'm not fully sure I fully understand what's happening there at a deeper level. It's a country there were a lot of groups. There was a lot of rhetoric. Important to remember, we are in a system, and it seems to be better than any other system out there. The outcome in a two-party system with a lot of polarization in the country, and you have a binary outcome, and the outcome ended up the way it is. And historically, there is no easy way through this.
With that, I think we'll take your questions.
But during this election cycle, we've seen a lot of misinformation, disinformation. We've seen a lot of fake news coming from fake news websites being shared by millions of low information voters on social media. And ultimately, there's been many, many people who've been voting, who've been acting based on completely made up information. So can Google do anything?
Boy, that's a really tough one right now.
Google is a trusted source of information. Nobody knows.
And we don't have an answer to that. Like, people aren't even talking about that. So I'd also encourage people to kind of maybe try to look past the election.
Yeah, so a lot of Googlers are maxing out on their charitable giving contributions, contributing to organizations such as ACLU and Equal Justice Initiative after following this election. Can we increase the gift match cap or designate certain civil justice and liberties organizations as...
So as a candidate, Donald Trump once said that he wished for the Russian government to hack the emails of his political opponent. And I know, maybe he wasn't serious, and who knows what a Trump administration would actually do. It's probably best to wait and see before taking a drastic action. But in my opinion, one of the bravest things this company has ever done is our 2010 letter, A New Approach to China, where we took a very bold stance on the Chinese government hacking emails of a group that they probably considered political opponents as well. So is there any potential line a Trump administration could cross where we would think about taking a similar approach towards the United States government?
I think that line was crossed a long time ago by the U.S., as we found out through the Snowden revelations.
So for what it's worth, I've been a very long time Hillary supporter. And that's one of the many things that I think makes this company so beautiful. Throughout the campaign, Hillary said, we are a great country because we are a good country. And I firmly believe that. We are a good country. Second,
you're a fucking idiot.
So there's a lot I love about this company, the values, the people, what we stand for.
Nothing will change. I think we'll stand up always for the values we believe in. And especially, I think, in a society, all our values, nothing has changed, and we'll always take strong positions.
Fighting for what's right is worth it. Our values are strong. We will fight to protect them, and we will use the great strength and resources and reach we have to continue to advance really important values. Because the values that are held dear at this company transcend politics. I want to take you back to 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday night. I was at home with friends and family watching the election returns. And as we started to see the direction of the voting, I reached out to someone close to me, and I just sent him a note and said, are you okay? It looks like it's going the wrong way. And I got back a very sad, short text that read, people are leaving, staff is crying, we're gonna lose. That was the first moment I really felt like we were gonna lose. And it was this massive, kick in the gut that we were going to lose, and it was really painful. And the thing that hit me was my father, and it did feel like a ton of bricks dropped on my chest. And as a child, what I was always told is, please stop believing. And that's the thing that kept going through my head on Tuesday. I suggested that what we all need right now is a hug. So everybody, if you could turn around or go to the person next to you and do a hug. It works.
Groupthink can be a huge risk.
Yes.
Anyway, on a more serious note, myself as an immigrant and a refugee, I certainly find this election deeply offensive, and I know many of you do too.
There is a lot of fear within Google. I've gotten a lot of emails, many groups, women, blacks, people.
On Trump specifically, who I know many of us find very offensive.
Especially with their values.
Immigrants or minorities, women.
And yet, we do think that history is on our side in a profound and an important way. Martin Luther King made famous a line.
All these years, I thought I liked chicken because it was delicious. Turns out I'm genetically predisposed to liking chicken.
On diversity and inclusion, I think it's fairly obvious that Google leans largely liberal and democratic, but I do want to be clear that diversity also means diversity of opinion and political persuasion, and we value and welcome perspectives from all sides of the political spectrum. So,
a lot of people clearly felt disenfranchised, left out.
If you're in Pennsylvania or Birmingham, you may not care that somebody in Delhi is getting a new job or that somebody in Jakarta is getting better health care. You care about what's happened to you and your family.
And it conflicts with many of our values.
The very core values.
And the forces out there are seen well beyond you. Globalization, immigration, trade, whatever else. And you're afraid and you're trying to look for answers. Answers that may or may not be there. And you're seeing this sense of stagnation, that you're not better off than your parents, and you're afraid that your kids might not be better off than you are. Well, it may be that the internet and globalization were part of the cause of this problem, and I think there's every sign that we'll continue to do that. That as we help that change come to pass, and what's the path forward?
You stand up for people who are minorities, and that's what defines a society, and we'll continue to do that.
We've long been in favor of comprehensive immigration reform. We continue to be in favor of comprehensive immigration reform.
We have nearly 10,000 Googlers in the US on visas.
We are so deeply committed to our values.
And we will, of course, fight to retain all the visas and then some, because we keep adding to this.
It's our core mission.
Because the values that are held dear at this company transcend politics.
I have heard from some conservative Googlers lately in the past few days that they haven't felt entirely comfortable revealing who they are when these conversations come up at work.
I don't expect any of that to change at all, and we'll be very strong and vocal, and not just from a press standpoint or a PR standpoint, but actually working hard behind the scenes to stand up for what's right.
So many people apparently don't share many of the values that we have. I guess we've known that for many months now. It's always been a lot of people that apparently feel that way. I find so many things that Trump said very offensive. We definitely value seeing more points of view, but certainly confronting it firsthand is pretty upsetting. So I don't know.
One of the main messages I've gotten from all of you today is that this election and others like it around the world are a hiccup in history's arc towards progress. But what makes you so sure about that? Is this a relatively new arc, or is this the same arc that has included 2 world wars?
So I think there's a huge set of issues here all wrapped up in one question. I don't think we can cover it in all in one go, but I think data suggests that boredom led to the rise of fascism and also to the communist revolution. There were many other factors too. It sort of sneaks up sometimes, really bad things. So I think it's worth being very vigilant and thinking about all these issues. What can we do to lead to maybe a better quality of governance, decision making, and so forth?
Speaking to white men, there's an opportunity for you right now to understand your privilege in the society, Take the opportunity to go through the bias-busting training, read about privilege, read about the real history of oppression in our country, and tomorrow night, watch 13th, the movie that is here. If you can't watch it here, watch it on Netflix. Discuss the issues you are passionate about during Thanksgiving dinner, and don't back down and laugh it off when you hear the voice of oppression speak through metaphors, and I promise to do this.